Let's talk about the World Cup.
Yes.
We've got so much to talk about. What's it like to lift the World Cup?
Yeah, I try to find something, similar, in my life, in terms of emotions. And I think becoming a father was something unforgettable,
How many kids have you got?
3 daughters.
Okay. If you had to give up one to keep that World Cup.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have the feeling of I've done something good, right, at the right moment.
But when you're a kid growing up, right?
Yeah.
We all in our back garden score the winner goal in the World Cup final. Right? You've scored that goal in the World Cup final.
But my kids are like new generation. They don't care about what I've done before.
Do they not?
They are girls first.
Right, well, it's fine.
It's not because they are girls they're not interested about football, but they're definitely not interested about football. They never have the chance to watch me playing, except on internet. But they have no idea who I was before.
If I came to your house for dinner,
yes,
right. When I walked in and had a look about, I'd have a little nose.
Nothing.
About. Well, I wouldn't know it was your
There's
house.
Nothing,
Why is that?
I don't know. I know that I can understand, former players that have private room at home, with full of shirt,
Bentley's house is
you
Burton Albion everywhere.
No,
you have this?
No, I have shirts of players I played against, but they're not. They're only in the gym, but not in my house. Nothing.
Okay.
But for you, World Cup winners shirt, the boots.
I'm not like this.
It's all gone, right?
I gave everything. It's all gone. The only thing I have is a couple of medals and trophies. That's it. But there is no shirt, nothing at all. No pictures, nothing.
What medals?
The World Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, European Cup.
Oh, wow.
Just those.
Yeah. As you do.
What else?
I want to talk to you about that World Cup, right? And there's so many things I want to talk to you about that I'm going to talk to you about in no particular order. What I think is, the bigger story, because you can't just pinpoint one moment because you scored, you lifted it, and so on.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about in the dressing room before the final.
Yes.
When you're sitting there and you know they've got one of the game's greatest players.
Yes.
In the world, Ronaldo, who's going to start for them. And then, of course, word gets through to us watching it on telly that he might not be playing. He's ill. We don't know what's wrong with him, but he's ill. He might not be playing, right?
You know the story.
Yeah,
right.
Well, you tell me. The story that we'll know is that he had convulsions.
Yes, because of video games.
Huh? Because of video?
That's what we've been told, because we had some of my former teammates used to play in the same clubs, with some Brazilian guys. And they used to talk to each other, often during the World Cup, and we were following the story through the newspapers. So we wanted to have the truth of it. So some players try to call their teammates,
Well, hold on. When the call's been made in the dressing room or afterwards? This is long after.
Yeah.
Right.
So some Brazilian guys told to my teammates that he had some trouble because of video games. When you play too long, too much, video games, you can make epilepsy, something like that. This is what we've been told. Is it the truth, the reality? I don't know.
But that's what you were told.
Yeah, but the final day, he played.
So just go back to that. So when you're in the dressing room, how do you find out that he might not be playing?
The day before the final.
Right.
There were big rumors about that. And we didn't know if he was sick or some. We had no idea what was happening.
Okay.
And the day of the final, we heard before we left Clairefontaine, the national center. We heard that he was feeling okay and he was ready to play. So we thought to ourselves, it was probably the World War you do on the special big games, just a couple of hours a day before that.
When you look at that final and you look back at it and you remember him on the pitch and you saw the tournament that he'd had because he was brilliant in the tournament,
yes.
Could you see straight away that he wasn't himself?
No, really. I thought we didn't notice anything on the pitch. The only thing we noticed is after leading the score 2 goals very early in the game, we saw that something changed between them on the pitch. They were shouting to themselves. They were insulting sometimes themselves.
Wow.
And they were trying to play individual instead of playing with their teammates, the links with their teammates. When you play against Brazilian guys, if you let them to play as a team, you're dead. Because they can do what they want. They're magicians on the pitch. But if you put troubles into their team and try to separate individual, then they will fall into the trap and they will try to play individuals, try to make difference with the ball in their feet all the time. And this is exactly what happened.
You played in the biggest games in the world, right? So you played in the World Cup final, European Championship final, you won the double, Arsenal. So when you step onto the pitch ahead of a World Cup final, is that like no other feeling you've ever experienced?
I loved it. I felt alive. That's why I love being footballer. Emotions was very important for me. Sharing emotion with the public, the fans. For me, it's like gladiators, back in days.
Mm.
But the pressure, I loved it because I felt alive all the time. And the more important was the game, the more important was the pressure all the time. And I missed it sometimes because in our society, I don't find the same emotions. I try to find it, but it's almost impossible. And sometimes I prefer to stay home than sharing my opinions, my view with other people because I miss sometimes the dressing room because of that. Yeah. The link you can have between players as a team. We are fighting for the same things, bunch of teammates, bunch of friends. I miss that. This friendship between people, especially nowadays where everyone is selfish, thinks about himself first all the time.
It's always pressure when you obviously go into a World Cup and play for the French national team because of how good you've been, how great you've been. Does it add more pressure and then more kind of relief when you win it in your own country?
It can be, especially when you have your family, your friends, and in the ground. But the fight you're playing in front of your country, your own citizen, can be, it's like a piece of corn, For example, Germany, they're going to play, European competition in 6 months' time, and they will play in front of their own fans. We all know that they are struggling for a couple of years now, Germany. So it could be a disaster or it could be something very good for them. It depends on how they will enter into the competition. But the fight you play in front of your fans, the fight we won the World Cup for the first time in our history, what happened in every big city in France. There is a documentary in France, very famous. They put cameras into the biggest city in France, and starting in the morning until 9 o'clock in the evening when the kickoff for the final, And you could see, the people there, they were living their own life, going to the market, buying bread, things like this, full of people into the street. And as soon as you arrive to the kickoff, no one's into the streets. It was like a Walking Dead, situation. And straight after the whistle, at the end of the game, millions of people into the street, sharing the same emotion, white, black, Asian, everyone together, poor and rich. This is why I love football. Emotion, that the fact that there is no difference between people.
Of course.
How can you remember how you were treated? And you still may be treated
You
as
have
an
no
absolute...
idea.
Is it
You
even
have
now
no
today?
idea.
I'm guessing you never have to buy a drink when you go into a pub.
I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
After we won the World Cup, Arsene Wenger was very generous with me. He only gave me 10 days holidays.
That's nice.
So I thought to myself, I have to recover very, very quickly because... so I went to south of France. I used to play in Monaco, so I had so many friends, south of France. And I was in Cannes, Antibes, Juan-les-Pins, And I was laying on the sunbed. I was so tired. I was, I'm very white. If you let me under the sun, I'm red. I'm like a lobster,
Okay.
So I was sleeping, and the owner of the restaurant, a friend of mine, he came to me and said, Manu, wake up, Manu, wake up. So I opened my eyes and said, I'm sleeping. No, you have to wake up now. I said, why? I'm resting. Can I rest? He said, look behind. So I had a quick look behind me. There was a policeman. He just tried to stop people to come and ask me for a picture or autograph. And there were a long queue. I couldn't see the end of the queue.
Wow.
What thinking of myself, what, they're waiting for me? Yeah, they're here for at least 1 or 2 hours. They are waiting for you to wake up. So this is just an example.
Yeah.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.